Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Who are you? Part 2. That's what we're talking about today. We talked about this last time we got together and kind of dabbled in sense of self. Who are you? How do you define yourself? We're gonna pick up from that point and talk about that and more, especially being isolated. Is that a good thing? Some of us are uncomfortable with that. Why is that? Let's dig deep into this today. She is an amazing psychotherapist, works with all different types of people. What we're talking about today comes up many times in her client base, and it's a big topic. Who are you? Susie Engel's back on the program. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm fine, Steve. How are you?
Real good. Real good.
That's good.
And
good.
We always do this. What do you want to talk about? And last time we got together, we essentially talked about finding who you are, having a sense of you, really realizing who you are to the core. And we were still rolling. So we figured, all right, let's dig back into that today, right?
Yeah, and let's recap a little bit because it's huge. I mean, one of the first things we said was we could probably talk about this subject in one direction or another for years, right? Because it's huge. But the thing is, there's the school of thought, and I think it's pretty well documented that we are born with a blueprint. It's in our DNA that we're born with a blueprint to flourish and be who we are. And then life happens at us, and some experiences inform us in different ways and sometimes extinguish that trust in ourselves, our gut feeling, and also just the progression of developing a sense of self. And it's natural and it happens, and we all have to figure this part out. And it's not always dark and ugly. It's just part of the process of living, but we should never go without continued personal development and knowing ourselves. Now, the biggest recap about last week is we ended with, define yourself, use 5 words. But I would venture to also say that much of what we spoke about isn't exactly easy to put in words. And so we could describe, but then if I describe myself a certain way, how do you interpret all that? But it doesn't even matter because I know what my sense of self is. And so I'm just recapping a little bit.
No, I appreciate that very much so, because I forgot about the 5 words. And I'm getting visuals and downloads of this whole topic that it's so big and important that we don't think about it because we just go through life. We do our thing, and we don't realize it is the foundation for everything. For everything that
I as an individual, you as an individual, any individual in the audience does, and also seeks to know, or maybe feels loss. So it's a big, big issue. But what I think the biggest takeaway, which I'm glad we have the opportunity to summarize a little bit, and I don't think it was overly emphasized, is that knowing ourselves, having a sense of self is often not needed to be described in words. And the word for that is ineffable. And if I don't have to describe myself to anybody. I don't have to. I present myself.
I'm with you there. I don't think it hurts to describe yourself, not to somebody else, but to yourself.
Yes.
I think that's important. Who am I? Do I really know?
I'm Susie Engel.
And I'm not. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely not. Of course you're not. Yeah.
Right? So where can we put the microscope on sense of self today? Where should we go? Because there's so many different aspects, camera angles, if you will.
Yes, and I thought maybe, and maybe it'll seem like, what does this have to do with anything? And I'm a firm believer that everything is interrelated. But maybe we could talk about why is it that some individuals, and you and I have touched upon this, why is it that some individuals are so liberated to do anything independently or on their own? And I'm not talking about overly self-reliant. I'm not talking about isolative. I'm talking about in a socially healthy way, in an adaptive way. Why are some people able to do anything like go to a restaurant, go on vacation by themselves, travel the world on their own, whatever this is? And why is it that some people are limited or inhibited or need somebody else to do these things with, and then they don't do it if other people aren't available?
Well, let's look at that person as opposed to looking at the people who are, for lack of a better word, independent. We'll just kind of use that word for those people.
Yes.
Those who feel the need to be connected to somebody else all the time, or, have somebody around, whatever it might be. Could that be connected to other situations in their life, from their childhood? Maybe fear of separation, that kind of thing?
Yes. And I like the way you're bringing that up. I mean, there are a lot of options and directions we can go. A lot of satellite conversations around this. But if we think about, so separation anxiety, but if we even just describe that maybe maybe one individual was brought up to be cautious, and maybe they were taught to be careful, watch out, our defenses. We have like the part of us that zips ourselves up and presents ourselves, and then we have this defense team, like a sport team, the defense team that's on the lookout. And if we're taught in a little bit of a lopsided way to strengthen our lookout defenses, then we may feel less comfortable saying, you know what, I'm just going to try this new restaurant, or I'm going to go to, in Hartford, they have salsa on Pratt Street. It's a beautiful street. My mother and father actually met each other on Pratt Street because they worked in the same office building.
Wow.
But they have salsa, and you don't have to, if you go with somebody, you go with somebody. But if you want to go, you can go. And there are hundreds and hundreds of people who just want to share the beauty of salsa. And there's a DJ and everybody's dancing because people are free, right? But if I want to go, I will go. But if the person who's taught, you'll park on your own, you'll walk a few blocks in Hartford, they're going to be maybe overly cautious or inhibited,
or overthink it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but overthink it.
Or overthink it.
Like they could be initially saying, well, I'd like to salsa. Maybe, they knew somebody back in the day and it was a kind of a fun activity for them. And they're thinking about going to Hartford, Connecticut, where you are, or in that geo, and thinking about it. And now all the other things stack up. Well, I got to park, like you said. Maybe I don't feel safe. What about if I can't find somebody to dance with there? What if this? What if? Does this all go back to fear?
It goes back to
always fear.
Yeah, it always goes back. I mean, fear is an emotion that we all need to learn to normalize, because if we give power to fear, and my oldest brother uses this term often, he'll say, "Oh, well, then the person will become risk adverse." And it's what is the risk? I mean, first of all, Hartford is not a dangerous city. I mean, I just don't get any of that. Just like New York City is just like the greatest place on earth. I know they say that about Disney or something. I've never been there, but New York.
Wait a minute. You've never been to Disney?
No.
Wow. And I'm not judging. I've been there. I'm not a Disney fanatic at all. Okay. I've just been there a lot. Kids, and I've worked there. I broadcast from Disney. I can't even tell you how many times. Wonderful experience. Blessed to have done it. Been on the Disney ship. You know where I'm not going? I'm not going to Disney. I don't need to go. I'm good with it. So I find it interesting that you've never been there. Wow.
Well, and then I was talking to somebody because there's a way I describe or do a little psych ed about our alarm system, and the client just said, "Oh my gosh, have you been to Epcot Center?" And I was like, "No." And then the client described Epcot, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I should really rethink and go to Disney." Yeah.
Epcot's a totally different experience, and I don't need the rides. I would go to Epcot and have quite a few times just because of the culture and the food and the drink, especially if you go, I think they do like a wine or food festival in the fall or whatever, and you just go to these different places to experience food. The rides, yeah, sure, bonus, but I don't need to go on a rides. It's more about the experience. Yeah.
And the culture and also evolution, and it just seems like it captured a lot of, well, so I've traveled the world, but I took my son to a different country every year, but I never took him to Disney. I think some other relatives took him, so I wouldn't do that. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I have a very close friend. She is not into Disney. Even her kids. So I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm not going there. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got to. My favorite. Can I share my first vacation I've ever taken alone? And we're talking alone.
Yes, you should, because it's appropriate for our conversation.
It was about 4 weeks ago, and I've gotten on a plane and traveled somewhere and met up with others, but I've never just went alone. Now, I went to the Caribbean, Spanish-speaking island. I don't speak Spanish. And there was somebody there I know. He was doing an Airbnb for a number of months, and we worked together. And that kind of made it easier. But I told him straight up, and he was with somebody there. I said, do not worry about me. We can get together for business for, an hour over a beer. And then do your thing, man. Do your thing. I just wanted, I guess, isolation in a way. I will tell you this. The first 2 days were uncomfortable. Very weird. Like I just felt out of sorts, like just trying to get into a rhythm because I've never done this before. But after that, let's put it this way. I'm already booking to go back again in September.
That's great.
Because it was so inexpensive. But where I'm going with this is the sense of self. That's what's coming up for me, where I reflected, I read, I spent time with the little things became the big things. Like there was a little quickie rainstorm, sun came out, and then I was looking at leaves and just the raindrops on the leaves. I'm like, wow, man, that is cool. And there was a horse in a field next really door. I became friendly with the horse. I would feed him every day. I would bring him water. Not good conditions for the horse. He was all wrapped up in rope and everything, and I broke him free. But I went. That was my buddy. Like I would hang
That's
out
really
with him.
great.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. Yeah.
And listen, you're describing that for most of your life, you're used to or expected to do things together with others. And here you booked this trip. And for the first couple of days, I don't even know if we have to judge that it's uncomfortable, but maybe it is uncomfortable, but it was new or is different. And you were adjusting. Like, I think it's a very good thing for people to think about before we judge whether we like something or don't like. Let's get through some adjustment period and see where we land. Now, I've been doing things independently as far as I can remember, right? So for me to book a trip and travel someplace, most places do not speak English because the world doesn't revolve around America. People need to know that. It's really doable. We have body language, people are very friendly all over the world in different cultures. And, we have to be patient with ourselves to adjust to a fresh experience or a new experience, no matter what age.
My advice is, if you're even thinking about doing something on your own, maybe a getaway, whatever, just do it. Just do it.
For sure.
You said a word that just, I don't want to say triggered me, but it was like, you said that previously in my life, I was always with somebody else. And you said expected to do something with somebody else. So not even totally on me, but then again on me, because I'm thinking that maybe somebody else is expecting me to do something with them. And we need to get rid of that. Because that doesn't work.
Yeah. And it's not all on you. I mean, unconsciously, society kind of teaches that. Like, you would go to a restaurant by yourself. And I'm like, yes, why not? First of all, I find it very sociable because no matter where I go, I find people are very open and strike up conversations. But that's not my purpose of doing things independently. But secondly, it's fun to experience just what I'm experiencing. And that could be anything, going to a restaurant by myself. It could be the food, it could be the menu, it could be the design, it could be the vibe, it could be the people watching. I don't know. It could be the people talking to me.
Yes.
I don't even know what to expect, but I like not having expectations. But what I was saying to you is, somewhere unconsciously, whether it's society's expectations or even how family raises all of us, you were expected to do things with others.
Yeah.
Or else you'd be doing things both with others and independently more, throughout your life, not just, I just tried this for the first time.
And there's two things there. It's, I believe that I just was uncomfortable doing it alone, but then expected to in a family situation, relationship and all that. But back the restaurant thing, first time I ever went to a restaurant alone was 3 years ago. I was here, 8:00 at night. Got to get something to eat. It's late. Well, Applebee's up the corner. I never go there. All I can say is, it was a little uncomfortable, and you almost feel like I'm a loser, I'm sitting by the bar by myself. No.
That's what you were taught, though. Yeah,
yes,
go ahead.
Yes. I'm just telling you what I was thinking at the moment.
Go.
And then, people looking at me, this is the first time. But then you realize there's other people by themselves doing their own thing. What I can summarize from all of this, and I want to share with others, because if you're thinking the same, that was the best $20 meal I've ever had. Yeah. I will never forget it. I will never forget the flavor of that beer. I will never forget that meal. Why? Because I focused on me.
Focus.
And if you go with somebody else, let's face it, you're giving 50% of you to them. So now you're in a conversation. Now you get to carry the convo, whatever it is, but you're not focusing on what you're doing. Same thing with going away. I'll never forget that. Those memories are etched in my mind forever. And not to say other vacations weren't good, but this was different in a very empowering way. Let's just say that.
I would probably say it was probably less stressful too once you adjusted to it. Being on your own for whatever the remaining days of that trip was, that was like for you to
100 billion%. And I'll tell you this,
I like it.
It's almost as if I manifested where I was going to go, because everything I needed was there. It was beautiful. It was like a resort, but it was a condo complex, but they manicured perfectly. And there was a little tiny restaurant with a little bar. I'm the only person there. I walked down. I got my own personal chef, and $8 I had dinner. Such a win. Everything was there, and right down to the ocean.
So great. And so there are a lot of elements that we need to contend with. And just in you describing, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you said the first time I went to the restaurant on my own, what are people thinking? That's, and we've touched upon this, but this is like a huge issue. What are people thinking? Well, we are taught that.
Yeah.
We are taught that through other people's judgment. And one of my clients characterized it as we'd have these great times, and then there'd be the interactions after the experience that were laden with, she didn't say laden with judgment, but she said then there was the interactions after the event. and I'm saying laden with judgment. So then we start learning, am I a loser? The questioning. What are people thinking? And we've talked about these things, but these are all learned. We're not born worrying about these
So
things.
can I ask you a question based on that?
Yes.
Those things that we learned, I'm going to put them over here for a moment. What about those other things that and this could be part of the learn thing, but I want your feedback from your experience on it. The things that we experienced or acquired in our mind, subconscious, growing up. Let's say there was a moment of isolation. Let's say your best friend left you flat and now it's stuck in your mind. Let's say relationship ended. Let's say parents got divorced. Maybe a parent passed away and I'm alone now, that kind of thing. Is that the learned experience you're referring to, or is that something totally different?
Well, those are experiences, right? What's learned is how was it processed? How are you encouraged to digest this experience? So, if you're in a family that's somewhat open and you say, oh my gosh, I went back to school and my best friends told me we couldn't be friends anymore. And my family approached this one way or another, like, that's terrible of them, like villainizing, or what's wrong with you, Susie? Those are all like laden with value systems that I think we need to be aware of at a very early age.
But is it a value system?
If the family, let me just finish this part of it. If the family is just like, wow, how was that for you? Well, I said, I don't know, like it didn't make sense to me. But I have to I think that they were serious and they're not going to continue to be friends for whatever reason. And that's it. I don't have to interpret it personally. And my family doesn't have to interpret it like I did something wrong. And my family doesn't have to interpret, nor do I, that there's something wrong with them.
But is that the stuff that when we talk about, what's called a limiting belief that's in your subconscious that is just coming back up again. If it is a situation where, let's say your parents did get divorced and now, it's a feeling of like, all right, I'm by myself, and then you add another, the friend situation as a kid, right? And then, another one where you never got picked for dodgeball. There's another one. If you take all of those, is that considered the learned experience? All that stuff is just sitting in your subconscious, and then that's making you feel uncomfortable, let's say, for being alone.
Yes. And I think that it's environmental.
Okay.
And I think the contrast is nobody processed it with the person who went through the parental divorce, the friend ditching, and the broken up relationship. If all along there were people in that person's life to say, how is that for you? And they're getting perspective, then it doesn't become, I can't do anything with or without. It just doesn't add up. It becomes like, I'm still whole, even though it hurt, and it's okay. And I'm okay. And I think they're contrasting things, because if nobody talks about these things, which is AKA process, or digest it properly, then it sits in the unconscious. And then all those experiences after the first one or the first few reinforce that negativity or something to that effect.
And I've even learned that, studying all this stuff, that your subconscious is always looking for proof. It loves you. It wants to support you. It doesn't know good for bad. So what is it doing? It's more evidence you're alone. Let's say now you had stuff as a kid, right? And that's in your subconscious. Now you get to adulthood, and then a relationship ends, and then this happens, and you don't even know it, but in your subconscious, it's saying, oh, there you go. See, you're alone. And then on to the next thing. Oh, there you're alone.
Yeah, and that's how the unconscious works. And then there are these defenses that are growing muscles in the structures of our brain that say, well, I'll be a bigger self-critic than any of these outside experiences. And then people call for therapy and wonder, like, why do I have this script in my head? Or why am I always like feeling this way? And that's a lost sense of self until they figure that out. And then they start developing their sense of self.
But it's awareness. Yeah. We're out of time. How's that happen?
Absolutely. I love it. It's all about awareness.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen unless you address it and or talk with somebody like yourself, because you don't realize it until you trace the steps back and look at your childhood that, that could be affecting, that could be affecting, that could be affecting. It starts with the conversation. It really does.
It's fascinating. It's
fascinating. It really is. And I say this all the time. It's a wonder how we can navigate life with all the stuff that we got processing in our minds. Like, how are we even functioning, Susie? How are we doing this? Like, I don't know.
It's a miracle.
You know what? I really think it is. I really think it is. Your website is your name, Susan Engel, and that's ENGEL-LCSW.com. You're available to even just to have a conversation to see if it's a right fit. You can help anybody. This is I'm going to say, like, one of the most important things in your life, to confront you and understand you, have a sense of you, sense of self. Really is. It's
personal development.
Yeah. Thank you so much for today. We can keep going. It's like, it's crazy. By the way, I just want to throw out there, instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com. If you have a question or a comment for next time when we get together. Thank you. It's good stuff today. I appreciate it. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
So you see, son, good manners are very, very important. Someday, many years from now, when you're a grown-up, you'll be a man. And when you are, you should be a gentleman. Do you want me to go through it one more time?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If a door's shut, then knock first. Don't burp, don't swear, don't speak with your mouth full, don't reach across people's plates, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
And don't interrupt. While we're at it, don't stare, don't use foul language, don't call people names, but do remember people's names. Always share your toys, play nice, and cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give up your seat to anyone who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But spending just 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier and could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. That's 2min2x.org. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives and the Ad Council.